Okay. So let's look at the drawing exercise that you have to do for, I almost said next week, I guess next Thursday. So here it is. It is a restaurant, Project 2B, and we will be drawing floor plan. And this is in an older building. So these have much thicker exterior walls. You know, there's probably a few layers of brick and drywall on them on the inside. And those walls are 1 foot 6 inches thick. And then it's the entrance is recessed back, and that recess, those walls are 6 inches thick. And it's recessed back so that, you know, I guess there's a sidewalk here on the left, and we don't want our front door to encroach on the sidewalk, right? We don't want to encroach on the right of way of the sidewalk and the street. So we're setting our door back. And then we've got back of the house functions over here. So there is just a partition here, and we are setting that partition to 6 inches thick. And then we've got an indoor and an outdoor to the kitchen, or into the kitchen and out from the kitchen. And then there's just an opening here, and that goes to the, you know, to the restrooms for whoever's in the restaurant space here. And there's a whole, oops. And there's a whole bunch of dimensions here, and our job is just to duplicate this image. So I'm going to go through this relatively quickly because a lot of this we've already been through, and your job, your homework for next Thursday is to duplicate this image. So let me just take this off my screen here, and I will start in. And I'll start in with my, so I did create my new drawing here, and I guess what I'll do first is save it. So I'll click save and go up to projects, and this is project. Can someone tell me what this project is? 2B?
2B.
Thank you.
Did you decide if you want us to put our names in front of when we save our files? So like Rebecca Stern.
No, you know what? I was able to do it without it. So you can just call your file project 2B. That will be perfectly fine. If you want to, you can. All right. So my space is 32.6 wide by 51 feet long. So I'll start by drawing a couple lines, and I want to make sure that my O-snap is set. And I'm going to turn my perpendicular on. And it is 32 feet 6 inches by 51 feet. Enter. Oh, well, let's just continue that. 51 feet up. Oop. 32.6 up, 32 feet 6 up, and then I can click over here, or I can just type the letter C for close, I think. Well, it's not letting me. All right, that's fine. I'll just close it this way. All right, those are my inside clear dimensions, and the size of the walls was 18 inches or 1 foot 6. So I'm going to offset 1 foot 6. And over on this side, the wall is only 6 inches. So I'll offset 6. And those walls kind of extend out beyond the room. sort of into the kitchen. Okay. And then let me just fillet these. I typed F for fillet. All right, now.
Paul, I have a question or observation. I accidentally just drew lines on the border layer. So let me draw the lines on a locked layer, but it's not letting me delete them.
Yes, you can add to a lock layer, but you can't delete, you can't delete or make changes to it once it is on the lock layer. When we were on the templates, remember we were able to take that little line segment and put it onto the border lines layer, but once it was on there, we couldn't make any changes to it. Is that what you were observing?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely true.
Hi, Paul. I have a quick question as well. I missed the distance in which you extended the line past the 51 feet.
I extended it exactly what looks good.
Oh, that was it. Okay. Okay. There wasn't a specific distance. Okay.
So it was pretty random. Yeah.
Okay.
I just kind of extended it, and it just kind of tells whoever's looking at it, like there's more to this room, right? This wall extends beyond it. There's something over here, but we're not going to deal with it on this drawing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, one more quick question for you.
Sure.
I missed it. So it says it's 6 inches for the walls thickness, right?
For this wall, yes.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. And then the other ones are 10.
No, the
Or am I
others
looking at
were
something wrong?
1'6".
Okay, got it. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No worries. All right, so I'm going to look at this recess here, and let me just look at this carefully. Let me just zoom in a little bit, because I want to make sure that I have these dimensions correctly and they're dimensioned to the right faces of the wall. So I'm going from the inside face of this wall here. This A2 is what I'm focusing on right here. I'm going on this A2, and that is going to the inside face of my restaurant interior. So when I'm going to offset this A2, and then these walls also are 6 inches thick, and then I will offset up into the recess 6 inches. Similarly, this 2.6 here, this wall here is 2.6 from the inside face of this wall. So I'm going to offset 2.6 in this direction, and then I'm going to offset 6 inches back into the recess. It's important to look carefully at the dimensions so that you know which side, when you're offsetting, which side that piece of line is that you've offset. So, okay, let me move this out of the way. So the first one was 2.6. So I'll hit offset and 2'6", enter. And in the other direction was 8'2". Excuse me. Offset 8'2", enter. And then I'll just fillet this or trim it, but I'm filleting. And then I'm going to offset these lines 6 inches. Offset 6. And I'll just extend this line perpendicular to there. And this time I'll trim just for the heck of it. I'll trim that, and I'll trim that, and I'll extend this out. I can erase that. I can trim this. Now I have my nice little recess. So the door is 4'6" from this section of wall. So offset 4'6", and it'll be 3 feet wide. And I'll do some trimming here. And while I'm at it, I'll put little door frames on here. Offset door frames are 2 inches. Good. Next step, I'll add that door. So I'll open up my palette, and I'm going to do it by hitting Control-3. And I'm in Imperial. I want to make sure that I'm in Imperial, and I'll just drag a door into, oops. There it is. And I can close this. I'm done with that palette. And I'll make some changes to this. First, I'll open the door 90 degrees. Next, by default, these doors come in at 3'4" wide. I'm going to change that to 3 feet.
Are we going to be, are we going to ever like advance in like these instructions? Are we going to like start to like skip over how to like put in like dimensions and like wall thicknesses, and then move into like other techniques within a program or like the application? Because after a few of these, I was wondering if we're just going to keep doing this for every assignment.
Hannah, I need this help. So if you're a little advanced, try to just be patient, because I have challenges with doors. So where things might be easy for you, they might not be for everybody. If you don't mind me speaking up, sorry.
And in answer to your question, Hannah, yes, we will be doing other things as we progress.
Okay, also another question about the wall thicknesses. Do we have to like separate them? I know like one wall that is 6 inches wide or thick is like, it's not separated from the 1 foot 6 inch wall. There is no separation, but then there's a line segment between like the alcove wall and the thicker walls.
I think that it is, depending on what kind of drawing that you are doing, sometimes you will and sometimes you won't, but it always looks more professional, and it is a better looking product if you do trim out your those sections of the wall. So I have that trimmed out here, and I've trimmed these out. You're talking about this little piece of line right here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do believe it looks a lot more professional to do that. If you are in working drawings, if you are in construction drawings, and you need to identify each wall type that are different from each other, and some of your walls are 6 inches and some of them are 5 inches, you know what, even then you, for the most part, you'll trim those out. So I would say the answer to that question is yes. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I'm now going to rotate this door. Well, let me just make sure I have the door jamb set to 6 inches. Yes, it is. So now I'm just going to rotate this door.
Oh, just a quick question about the door jamb. You know, when the walls are 6 inches or 5 inches, I know we can change the door jamb to that. Is that the largest a door jamb goes? Because like,
Oh gosh, no.
okay, so
No.
if
No, you can have door jambs that are 8 inches. You can have a 12-inch door jamb, really.
Okay.
But these are actually the common door jamb thicknesses, and the most common door jamb thickness is 5 inches, really. But for this block, this dynamic block, what AutoCAD has done is it's set really the most common sizes.
Mhm. Because
So-
I mean, with reference to the homework from this past one that we just handed in from last class, the door jamb, we did 6, even though the wall thickness was thicker than 6 in the back of the
Yes.
card shop.
Yes.
So how do we know what size to pick a door jamb when we're looking at?
Well, all right. Well, this isn't necessarily a materials class, but here's what you need to do is you need to look at the construction of the wall. So normally what happens is the wall construction is 4 inches of brick on the outside, and then there's an air gap, and then there's 8 inches of concrete block, and then there may be some drywall that's furred out on the inside of the wall. And as I said, the most common door jamb is 5 inches. And what you'll do is you'll specify a 5-inch door jamb, and you'll locate that door jamb so that it straddles that gap between the back face of the brick and the front face of the concrete block. So in general, yes, you will put a 5-inch, sometimes a 6-inch door jamb in an exterior wall, just like we showed it.
Okay.
But yeah, again, this isn't about a materials and methods class, and I don't want to get into, the nuts and bolts exactly of the construction process. And believe me, you will go through that. But for this class, yes, 5 inches is the correct depth for that door jamb.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay, I'm going to rotate this door. And I'll just click rotate here. And I'm just going to rotate it 90 degrees. And then I'm going to move the door. So I want to move from where the hinge is, right here, which is at the intersection of the door jamb and the leaf of the door. And I'll turn my perpendicular off, and I'll put that right there. Now the door is swinging in the wrong direction. So all I need to do is click on the door, and I can play with these little arrows here. And that just swings the door in and out. And this arrow here swings the door left and right. Okay. So I've got that. And now I need to get those doors that are going into the back of the house. So the first door is 8'10" from the corner of the room. And I can do this a couple different ways. And what I'll do is I will turn on my, right here, my object tracking or snap tracking. I'll go over to the line tool. I'll go over to this intersection, and I'm not going to click. I'm just going to start moving in the direction I want AutoCAD to start measuring. It's sort of like I'm putting a tape measure down at that. I put a tape measure down here, and I'm start moving up, and I'm telling AutoCAD to go up 8'10". 8'10", enter. And now AutoCAD is going to start drawing that line. I'm going to draw that line perpendicular right there. Hit enter. And the door opening is 3 feet, offset 36. And the distance between the doors is 10. The other door is 36. And then I'll just do some trimming and I can click this and this. Oh, by the way, this is kind of cool. What I can do here is I can, remember that if I left click and so I can trim both of these lines at one. I can click and click to trim, or I can click over here and then I'm just going to draw, and this is called a fence. And I just extend that fence over and it'll click and it'll trim both of those objects right for me in one click there. So that's another way to trim a little faster. And sometimes I will do that and I won't even say it. Let me just undo that again. And I'll show you again. I'll go trim and I'll just click somewhere over here and then just extend that fence line. It's called a fence line. It's a little dotted line that comes across and then left click again, and they're both trimmed for me. All right, so now all I need to do is enter, input, or put in another door, but I already have a door here, so I'm just going to copy it. So hit copy, select the door, specify a base point. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this hinge little point right here. And I'll copy it over here. And while I'm at it, I'll just put this one in too. All right. So
Paul,
this
is it
door-
possible? Is it possible to do a space in between a mirror? Like, could we have done the mirror, the door with a
Yeah,
tiny space?
yeah,
Okay, okay.
you could have. So let me just erase this one. And let's just say you want to put this door in, and we'll just use the mirror command. So I'll type in MI, or go up here to mirror. I'll select the object I want to mirror, and I will select the midpoint right here. And I'll turn on my ortho. And boom. Yes, clever.
Cool.
Good way. Now, like I said, there's a lot of ways to do things in AutoCAD. So the only problem with this is it's in the wrong direction. So I'll just click on it, change the direction, and now I've got my doors. Okay, so the last thing is to pop some windows in here. So my windows start, I'll start from down here, 310 from this corner up to the jamb of this window. And then I've got a 3-foot wide window here, and then a 1'9" piece of wall in between each of these windows, and 4 of them exactly the same. So what I'll do is I'll draw one window and then just keep copying it up till I have 4. Or I could just draw them all individually, but why not copy? All right. So this time I can use the line tool and I can use the tracking and go up 310. But I think what I'll do this time is I will offset 3'10". That goes up there. So let me extend. I want to extend that line, and I'm just going to click on it and pull that grip so that it's perpendicular. So I have that long line there, and then I'll just trim this. So there I have that that jamb, and the opening is 3 feet. So I'll just offset 36 inches or 3 feet. Sometimes I like to put inches in because I don't feel like hitting the foot mark. And the width of the door of the window frame itself is 6 inches. So I can offset this 6 inches, or I'll do the offset tracking right here. I'll click here, or I'll not click, I'll just hover over here and then I'll move over, I'll type 6 and then go up perpendicular. So there is the depth of my window. And you know, you've seen, you walk by old buildings before. Sometimes the window is deeply recessed and there's a, you know, a stone sill out here. That's what's happening in this case. So I've got some window frames. Those are 2 inches. So I'll offset 2 inches.
In real life, would they tell us that that window is 6 inches thick?
Yeah, yes, they would. And again, those window depths can vary depending on what manufacturer. You know, it could be Pella or Anderson or somebody else, and you would put in the appropriate depth, you know, depending on which manufacturer you're going to be using.
Mhm.
And then I've got the actual light of glass is right there. So there is my window. And there's 1'9" to the next window. So I'll just offset 1'9". So now I can go through the process again, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. So I already have this line right here. I already have that set for me right here. So all I need to do is copy the rest of these lines up to this location.
How thick was that total window?
That window is 6 inches thick.
Okay.
So I have my lines selected. I'm going to hit the copy command here, and it's asking me for the base point. And so what I'll do is I'll start with this point here, and then I'll just copy this up to this point here. And now it wants to keep copying, but I'm going to just hit enter here. So now I have 2 windows copied. So I need 2 more, right? So this time I'll select all of that. And I'll start with, oops, wait. First, let me start the copy command. Now select the objects. So I'll select the objects I want to copy. I'll hit enter. And now I need a base point. So I'll start with this base point here. I'm going to the first window here, this point, and then I'll go up to this base point. And I'll move up to this base point. Now I've got all 4 of my windows. AutoCAD wants to keep copying, but I'm done. So I'll just hit enter or spacebar. And now I just need to do the same thing over on this side. So I'll click the line tool. I'll hover, but not click, and then move my tape measure, move over along that green line, 6'10", 6'10", enter, and then draw my window jamb. There it is. And these windows are 4 feet wide. So I'll offset 4 feet or 48 inches. And we'll just kind of repeat the same thing. I'll offset 6. I'll offset 2. I'll do some trimming. And I'll draw the light of glass, the line tool. And then the distance between the windows is 7 feet. So I'll offset 7 feet. And then just like I did before, I'll copy. So let me just click copy, select the objects I want to copy. Select this point here, copy it over to here. All right, I have 2 windows and now I need 2 more. So I'll just hit copy, This time, oops, that's circle. Copy. Select that whole window. And I'll click this point of the jam. I could pick either one, doesn't matter, just as long as I'm consistent. If I pick the right side of this jam, I need to pick the right side of this jam. If I pick the left side of this jam, I need to pick the left side of this jam. So I'll pick the right side of this jam and then go over to the right side of this jam and go over to the right side of this jam. There I've got my 4 windows and I am done. So now I can switch over to Paperspace here. And the first thing I want to do is create a viewport.
Paul?
Yeah.
Did we purposely not do some of the additional opening on the right-hand wall or the door jams?
No, you know what? I
On
forgot
the
it.
back wall?
I forgot it. So, all right, let's do it. So that door opening is 6 inches off this wall. So let's see, I did the offset last time. So I did the the snap tracking. So this time I'll do an offset. So I'll offset 6 inches. Take that piece of line and I'll extend it over. I'll do some trimming. Oops. There we go. And the door is 3 feet, or the opening is 3 feet. So I'll offset 36 inches. And then I'll trim. Click trim. And this time I'll use a fence. I'll just click over on this side and draw my fence across, click again, and I've got them both selected. I actually like doing it because then I don't have to be exact. I don't have to click. You know, I can just kind of be messy and quick. And for me, that's a quick little shortcut. Makes things happen faster. All right. I'll give my drawing a save. I think that is certainly good at this point. So now I'm going to draw a viewport and I'll just type MV, make viewport. Click up here, down here. There's my image. First thing I'll do is I will put my viewport on the viewport layer. Extremely important. I'll double click into my viewport, move it about where I want it, and then I will set my scale. So let's see what 1/8 inch looks like. That is perfect. I almost had it at 1/8 inch. I'll just reduce it down significantly. So I'll just set my scale to 1/8 of an inch. Here it is. Move it so I want it just where I want it on the sheet of paper. Go back to Paperspace. And what's the next thing I do?
Lock it.
Thank you. If anyone said something other than lock it, I would be angry. So I'll select the viewport and lock it. So now that viewport is locked, and all we need to do is annotate. So I'll go over to my dimension layer, click inside my viewport. I'm reaching from Paperspace through the viewport into white model space here. And now I will start popping in my dimensions. I'll go over to the annotate tab here. I'll go, hold on just 1 second. I just want to be able to look at my thing off. Right. Okay. So I'm going to do linear dimensions here and I'll start over here. You can start wherever the heck you want, but I'm just going to start right here. And I'm zooming in so I can get close, but you'll notice that my whole piece of paper is zooming in rather than the viewport zooming in. And that's because my viewport is locked. So I'll click this point and this point. Oops, 6 1/4. I guess I didn't click it correctly. There we go. And now I am going to do continue. And the beauty of continue is I can just snap across and just keep going really, really fast. So I've got a nice, clean, oops. Make sure that I'm hitting all of those endpoints. So this is a little awkward right here, the 6. So I'm just going to click on this, the 6 right here, and right here, I can't, wait, click on the dimension again. If I click on that grip right there on the 6, I can't, let me turn off my ortho here. I can move that. Not cooperating with me. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to re-enter that dimension because I don't like.
I had a lot of issues doing the continuing, and also just the lines in general, the measurement lines. Sometimes they would come out really funky, or with the smaller continuation, I would end up with additional hash marks all over the place. I wasn't quite sure what was.
You mean to say that your dimensions are not coming through like this?
No, they are, but it's the lines, the vertical lines.
The extension lines?
The extension lines sometimes were a little wonky. The hash
Yeah, like
might be
this,
up the,
like this extension line here is longer than these.
no, like the measurements, the hash would be all the way at the bottom, not partially down, or the smaller where like the 6 inches all the way over to the right. I
Yeah.
would end up with an additional kind of flying out in the middle of nowhere hash mark.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm
I was
not
getting
sure.
stuff like that too. You just kind of have to play with it and click on it so you get the blue highlight and then adjust it from there. Like make them longer, make them shorter.
You are right in that it can be a little bit fussy, these dimensions. And what I ended up doing was I just re-entered this dimension because it was sitting over here and it wasn't cooperating with me the way I wanted. So another thing I can do is if I just click over here, you'll notice I have like a little menu here. And if I want to move the text, I could move that text over if I wanted. So that doesn't sound like what your problem is moving the text. Maybe
No.
you could hang back and show me at the end of class.
Paul?
Okay.
Yes.
So I think the problem is when you select the interior door, or I'm sorry, the interior wall, and then the dash lines will be, reaching the exterior wall. So if you select that, you will see that the little blue square will be on the interior wall.
That is correct. If I select this, it is snapping to that interior wall. Where I click on this one, it's snapping to the interior wall on this side, but it's a snapping to the exterior wall on that side. But
Yeah.
that should not make your dimensions really funky. You know, these dimensions are coming out correctly. The only difference between like this dimension here and this dimension here is that this extension line is extending much farther. And the reason is because these dimension lines are starting out here at the exterior side of the wall, and these dimensions are on the inside of the wall. And I could change that if I want by clicking on the grip there and pulling it down so it's perpendicular. So now if I want nice, clean dimension lines, extension lines all the way across, I can do that. So if you, I don't know who that was that had the question, but if you hang back at the end of class, I'd be glad to take a look at that issue that you
Rebecca.
have as well. Okay, Rebecca. So the one other thing that I'd like to mention is that I'd like to see that this is called a string of dimensions, and they're all sort of strung together. And if possible, I would prefer to see them all in a line like this rather than kind of like this. And I noticed that a couple of you did do that in your dimensions before, and it's fine. A contractor can read that, but again, it just looks, we want to be professional and we want to look professional. So I want to try to make sure that your dimensions stay in the string. But if sometimes it happens, right? Your dimension is not in the string. Well, what you can do is you can select the dimension, and I've got 3 grips on the dimension. And if I click this grip right here, I can go down and snap it to the grip on the adjacent dimension, and then it puts it back in line where it belongs. So I have a second dimension string here that is running from here to here to get the inside dimension. And you know what? Wait, let's just say that, notice I'm in paper space, right? It says paper. So I'll just go over this again. So I'll click my linear dimension here. I'll click that endpoint of the room. I'll click this endpoint of the room and bring it down there. It looks perfect, right? Looks just where we want. But if I just draw a selection window here, you'll see that at 51 feet there, it has been selected. These have not, because they are in white model space, but this one I drew in paper space. So, oops, what do? I can go over to my Home tab. I can go to my Modify palette, click on it, and then the second button here is called Change Space. And when I click on it, boink, it drills it down and puts it back into white model space where it belongs. And if I want to double check to make doubly sure, I can go over to model space. And there are my dimensions. If my dimensions are in paper space, let me draw another dimension.
Paul, can you do that move one more time, please?
I'm sorry, what was that question?
Would you just do that? I think you are already doing it one more time, but I was just asking you to do it again.
Okay. So I drew this, and this is drawn in paper space, and I know it is because I'm in paper space here, and when I move over it, it's highlighting, right? And if I look down here, it's not there, right? So I know that this dimension is in paper space. So I'm going to select the dimension, and then I will go over to my Home tab. I will go over to Modify, click on the little button down there, and right here, the second button is called Change Space. I'll click on it, and I don't have to do anything else. It just drilled it down right into model space. So when I go back into model space, there it is. AutoCAD put it back in right where it belongs. So that is a nice handy tool. You just have to remember to use it, and you need to remember to check to see if your dimensions are in, model space or paper space. So when I click on the window here, nothing is highlighting. So that tells me all of my dimensions are in model space where they belong.
Do you know if there's a command for that? Just because
Yeah.
of my Mac, it's
There-
a little wonky.
Yeah, there is a command, and it is, if I just hover over this, it's called ch space, as in change space. So if I just type ch space, and now it's asking me to select the objects that I want to change, and I don't have anything here. Oh, by the way, let's see what happens. What if I draw a circle?
Like if we are in Photoshop, we have like this like black and white like work mode, and then so like in the construction documents for AutoCAD, is it just like for dimensioning certain like elements, like structural, whether it's like FFE objects? Is that the purpose of the spaces?
The purpose of what? I'm sorry.
Of like inserting like spaces, like if we are like installation, like specializing in like industrial or commercial design.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the purpose of the paper space and model space?
The purpose of paper space is to arrange this drawing, which is drawn kind of like in full scale. The purpose of paper space is to arrange this drawing at a exact scale on a piece of paper. So that this piece of paper in this particular case is 8.5 by 11, but we could set this paper space up to 11 by 17 or 36 by 42 or 24 by 36 or whatever size suits us. Does that, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, so that's just the orientation.
That's correct. It's just
It's
to
just
set
for
it up.
printing, right? Is it just
Yes.
for printing?
Ultimately, it's for printing. That's correct. Yeah. Because ultimately, you're not going to give an AutoCAD document to a contractor. You're going to give them a roll of drawings. All right. So that is, I'm not going to go through all the dimensioning. I think you know how to do that by now, I hope. And you need to change this so that it's applicable, and then upload that. Questions?
Yes. Are there any additional notes you want us to include in the floor plan?
I
this window?
believe that there is a note right here for
Yeah.
36-inch doors and 2-inch door frames, but
Okay.
other than that, no.
Okay, thank you.
Another question on the notes. I think on like a worksheet you wrote or a class handout a little bit like a few classes ago. You said to put the notes on the text layer. Is that just what we're going to do throughout the class,
Yes.
or was that just for that project?
Yes, if you have text here, so I'll just copy this. And I'm going to put some text here. Yeah, I'll change this to whatever text, whatever the text is. But this text is on the border text layer. What I would like this to be on is it is the correct text layer. So that should be there. Now, when you are adding a leader to a drawing, and I'm gonna double click here into my white model space here. I'll go to annotate, and I'm gonna add a leader here just for the heck of it. And I'll just say passage. Oops, I want to be in caps. To bullet points. This would stay on the dimensions layer. I generally leave liters and dimensions on the same layer. So if I have, if I had like notes over here on the right side, or if I'm adding notes to this notes area here on my drawing, I will put that in the text layer. But if I'm just putting liters in like this, I will usually leave that on the dimensions layer. What other questions have you guys got?
Hey, Paul, this is Natalie. I don't really have a question, but I just want to say that I am so deeply satisfied watching you draw these dimensions so easily and do this, because I just finished Studio Foundation and I had to hand draw everything. So this is just
Yeah,
so nice.
yeah. It really once you have the experience of hand drawing, dimensioning in AutoCAD, particularly when you have that continued dimension thing, is just a joy. It's just yeah, it's great.